Good afternoon, everybody. What's up? This is Jason, a gentleman gamer, here to speak to all you beautiful faces about the Philips Hue Gen 3. I've got Gen 2 Philips Hue A19 bulbs plugged in right now to each of these two lamps. I've had them in the bedroom for funsies, and they've done their job very nicely. These are the white and color bulbs. They can do both, either or. But today I got in my Philips Hue Gen 3 bulbs, only three, but nonetheless, they are here in this nice fancy packaging, which I'm sure you've never seen something quite so well uh, bubbled. But you can see here the Philips Hue. You can see at the top, my left, your right, says richer colors, which is how you distinguish Gen 2 versus Gen 3, is looking for that to say richer colors. So if it says that, you're looking at Gen 3, probably more expensive. They're getting rid of a lot of the Gen 2 stock, which is perfectly fine. And I'm going to do a comparison to try and see what they look like compared one to the other. Bear with me though. I'm only going to look at one presently because it's going to do a direct comparison. This presently, I have it set up to show green, or a type of green. You can see on my phone that I've got the X, Y. You can't really see the colors. Drat. Well, it looks as green as I can make it look. I've got the Y all the way to the right and the X all the way to the left to maximize green as much as I can. Right to go blue, I actually have no, oh, there we go. That's blue. Actually, blue is more of a purplish color, but not atrocious, I guess. Just depends on what you want. This is what my wife prefers for me to leave it at typically, because the white, whenever you first turn it on, actually defaults to a warm white, which she prefers. But she doesn't like crazy colors as much as I do. I don't know why. But nonetheless, this is the actual bulb. You can see.
So here's the bulb. Looks pretty much the exact same, I think. Philips Hue white and color, what it says. So let's take one of these out real quick. I have to turn it off just to make sure we don't somehow do something crazy or strange.
Alright, so you can now see these two side by side. You really can't see a difference just from looking at the base of the bulb. Here's where it took me about 45 seconds to a minute and a half to get everything set up on the Hue app. I do use Hue Pro as my preferred app of choice. It seems to work a lot better. But I digress. Just took a little bit of time to get that all set up, and then we continue. Haha, it found it. Alright, that only took about 25 seconds maybe, so I now have, just identifies it as Hue Color Lamp 7. Nothing special, just the very next one on the list. So let's pull that sucker up. Ooh. As you can tell, I just pulled it up and it's letting me know that that's what I'm looking at. We'll call that Gen 3. It'll be Hue Gen 3. And it is now connected as one of my lights. Let's go back to I'm using the Hue Pro app because I find it easier to use and maneuver around versus the Philips Hue app, which I have a difficult, I don't know if it's just me or if the app is just not very good, but I have a hard time distinguishing or getting it to do what I'm trying to do. That's a cool feature. Turn the lights on upon detecting your home's Wi-Fi. I never even knew about it. There's all sorts of stuff in this app I didn't even know about. Anyway, we'll do X and Y and turn it all the way to the dark blue. Let's see what it looks like once it actually, on. Okay, you can see that one, Gen 2, looks a lot more purple, whereas this one looks a lot more blue, which is, excuse me, about what I expected, because I've heard the greens are better and the blues are better. That red there, which I already turned it off of, actually looked a lot better red. And there's the green, and oh yeah, that looks a lot better than the past one. I'm just gonna see if maybe if I get out of the screen, it focuses the colors a little better. No, it doesn't really seem to be doing so. But let's put these two bulbs in a group. Yeah, the red looks about the same. If we go all the way to the right, we get ourselves a yellow. Brightness is maxed, just so you know. The left actually has a brighter yellow, although it doesn't look super yellow. And it's more like a very warm yellow, I should say. And I wonder if that's because of the color temperature. Here is just color temperature, max, or the lowest temperature with the max brightness. And here is the max temperature, max brightness. Again, the left looks a little bit brighter than the right does. So Gen 2 is a little brighter with the temperature output of light seems to be a little better than Gen 3 does, which is not what I expected. And as soon as it registers anything I do, for the lowest temperature, it seems about the same for the most part. So let's look at hue. If we change it to just blue, yeah, again, it has a more purple tint on Gen 2, whereas Gen 3 looks much more cyan or blue. If we make it a little darker, see if you can kind of distinguish that a little more. The left side's got a little more of the purple cast, and the right side has more of a cyan blue cast, which again is what's expected. We go to the greens, and presently it says hue, see right there. That is hue 36, brightness or saturation 100, brightness 71. Again, right over there, Gen 3's got a much more green look, whereas over here it's a much more yellowish. Gen 2 is just not very good with the greens and blues, which we already knew. Going back to the blue, the switch in color went a lot faster for Gen 3. I don't know why. What's going on? There we go. Switching it back. All right, so once again, this is blue. You can just, I hope it gets across. I don't know how good the webcam's doing, but that definitely has a much blue look, whereas that's purple. Those are really the only big difference. Well, when you go to hue 85, saturation 89, brightness 71, they look about the same. But again, Gen 2 seems to have a little bit more brightness to it, a little more output as far as total light that it's putting out. It's kind of subtle. It's not a huge difference. You may not even be able to see it on the video. Yeah, it doesn't really look like you can tell a whole lot. Going to red. To recap, cyan, you can see here, this is the cyan color, hue 52, saturation 96, brightness at 100. You can see that this has a much more green tint, more of a cyan, more of a cyan tint. I hope that's the right word. If it's not, oh well. Whereas over here on Gen 2, it looks much more like a white. It's kind of surprising how vastly different those two look. Now, it's not quite as huge here. This is blue. You can see this still carries over that cyan, but it's more of a blue tone still, whereas over there you've got much more of a pink or purple tone. It doesn't look anything like the blue that I have selected on my phone, which is to say hue 70, saturation 100, brightness 100. It's not even comparable. This looks blue, that looks purplish-ishness, sort of. We go back to the blue. Again, that maintains the purple hue, Gen 2 does, whereas Gen 3 looks blue. It looks fantastic. Then we go to the cyan. Again, this has the greener blue tint, whereas that just looks like white trying to do something other than white and failing miserably. We go to the green, which this is one of the two areas that we're supposed to see a big difference. And sure enough, this looks green in Gen 3. Hopefully that comes across. I'm sorry if it doesn't. I don't know what else to do. Let's see if I can change the focus to behind me. No, not really. All right, but anyway, that's Gen 3. Green looks great, whereas in Gen 2, it looks more like a yellowish, greenish color. Nothing, it doesn't look green. It never has. So this looks a lot better for Gen 3 than it does for Gen 2. Now, the white looks about the same. I mean, obviously white is white. Gen 3, earlier I thought Gen 2 looked a little brighter with the white, but now it looks like Gen 2 and 3 are both about the same. So good. They haven't lost, doesn't look like they've lost anything with the white shades. If we go to max temperature for the color temperature with max brightness, see, it looks like Gen 2's got a slightly deeper color to it. It's not a very large difference. And if you had like one on one side of the room, one on the other, you probably would not be able to tell the difference at all. I have them right by each other, and I'm not even positive if there is a difference. So for whites, it really doesn't really matter. Well, at least at max temperature. If we go to Actually, I think that's the max temperature. I was at the lowest temperature. Yeah, I was at 20,000 or 2,000. Now I'm at 6494. And same story. They look indistinguishable from one another. So you're not getting these bulbs for the whites regardless, but just so you know, that's what they look like from one to the other. That's definitely got the nice warm hue. It's not going to be bothersome or annoying. It's not going to keep you up. When we go to XY, we take the X all the way to get that green. You can once again see this looks green, that looks yellow. And we go all the way back with Y to get that blue. Again, this looks blue, that looks purple, which is a nice purple. Don't get me wrong. If you like purple and you want purple, you can get purple. It's just if you choose blue and you get purple, it's not the best. So that's pretty much all there is to it. There's not a whole lot else to say. The reds still look red. There's not a big difference there at all. The Gen 2 might be slightly deeper red colors. It's hard to notice and really difficult to distinguish. The yellow looks a little deeper as well in Gen 2, which I did not expect. It's not a huge difference, again, but if you did have both bulbs side by side, like in a candelabra or something like that, you may be able to tell that those bulbs are different if you're going to yellow. So I would not pair these two together if you're using yellow. I wouldn't pair them if you're using green or blue or cyan. None of those colors. You could use purple, that's fine, but not green, not blue, not cyan, and not yellow. Outside of that, though, you can probably mix and match them just fine. But when you're in blue, you can see blue, purple. Gen 2's purple, Gen 3's blue. So hope you guys liked it. Hope it helps. Hope you enjoyed watching my video. Feel free to check out the keyboard review. It's rather exhaustive. But if you have any questions, by all means, feel free to comment below. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you again so much for your time, and I'll see you next time.